What's up guys, welcome to the GC journey. In this video we're finally relocating the engine bay fuse box. This has been a highly requested video. Now although I hate long video intros, I have to tell you this up front so I do not waste your time. I'm going to show you how we're going to do the relocation of the engine bay fuse box, but this is not a how-to video. And the reason I say it is not a how-to video is because every car, every application, everything is a little bit different. If we take a relatively stock car for example, then you will have your battery in the engine bay very close to the fuse box. You'll have the two connectors for the main engine harness also coming out of your fuse box, and you'll have the power feed going from the alternator across directly to the fuse box. In my case, in this car, there's been a lot of work done prior to doing this fuse box relocation, and so the battery on this car is in the trunk. It's no longer in the engine bay. There is a custom engine bay harness here, so we deleted the two connectors going from the fuse box to the main engine harness. They do not exist anymore in this car. And the third thing is the power feed going from the alternator. We ran it to the starter post, and from the starter post directly to the engine bay fuse box. So doing the fuse box relocation in this car and in a factory stock GC8 will be very different in this car than it will be in a stock GC8, for example. I'm sure there will be many things that you will see in this video that will be relevant to your platform. It's just that I don't want anyone watching this video expecting to see like a step-by-step how to relocate your engine bay fuse box, thinking they will be able to like follow along and do a copy paste of everything we're going to be doing here, only to find out at the end of the video, get disappointed because not everything here will be applicable to your car. So that is why it was important for me to say this in the beginning of the video. Okay, so it's a longer intro, but I don't want anyone watching the video and then, in the end, being disappointed that it's not what they were expecting. So that is why it was important for me to coordinate expectations before we begin the video. So with that out of the way, we're off to my friend Yotam from Tuning Power by Wire. If you've been following this channel for a while, then you will know that he is the go-to guy for everything wiring and tuning related. So, off we go.
Right. First thing we're going to do is remove everything that's in the way and make access to where we will be working. So we will want to remove things like the wheel, the fender liner. Have I mentioned yet how much I love these Wedsport lightweight open lug nuts? Sexy. In my case, I need to remove the top mount intercooler since we need to access the power feed line coming from the starter motor post. Now that we have everything out of the way, it is time to address the fuse box. So first thing my friend Yotam did was disconnect the fuse box from the strut tower so he could access the bottom part. Then he undid this nut that attaches the power feed to the main fuse that powers the entire fuse box. Then he went on to disconnecting all the factory connectors. Lastly, there's a row of relays that come out the back as a whole, and in order to release them from the fuse box, you need to press on the two tabs, one on each side, and then it all comes sliding out. And voila! The entire fuse box can be removed. So now that it's out of the way, you can start feeding all the wires, connectors, and relays out of the engine bay, which is exactly what we want. Wonderful! Now, as mentioned earlier, the power feed that usually runs directly from the alternator to the main fuse, in my car now runs through the starter motor post. Since this GC8 is a non-ABS model, my friend Yotam decided to use this vacant hole in the strut tower that would usually be used for the ABS wheel sensor wiring for our power feed line. To tell you the truth, I would have preferred to make a new, longer power feed that would go from the starter motor post backwards through the firewall into the cabin and make its way to the fuse box along with the rest of the factory wiring. It would have made for a much cleaner look, but A, we were working under a very tight schedule, B, the existing power feed line was long enough to reach the fuse box in its new location without interfering with anything along the way, and C, my friend was doing me a favor, so in these cases you usually just say thank you and shut up. In any case, I'll probably revisit the power feed line in the future and just make a new one when I have a bit more time. So once you've fed everything under the fender, you can reattach all the relays, connectors, and of course, reattach the power feed line. Now we need a place for this ground, which was also in the engine bay, so Yotam drilled and cleaned a new hole for it under the fender. Now the place we found for the fuse box was right under the fender. Originally, these EUDM models have the coolant overflow tank located here, but we removed mine a long time ago when I decided to go for the Chase Bay's overflow tank since I thought it would match the engine bay theme a lot better. Still need to install it though, so before putting everything back together, I only need Yotam to approve, and he does. So now with the fuse box relocated under the fender, we have an even clearer engine bay, and surprise, surprise, more damage has been revealed.
Okay, so engine bay fuse box has been relocated underneath the fender, as you saw, and off camera I threw the AC back on. We had to do some wiring so that it fits the custom engine bay harness that we have. The new AC compressor is looking a bit out of place with the engine bay theme, so I think what I will do is probably paint it black. This won't stay like this, but I have to have AC. You can't survive the summer here without AC. So as you saw, this was a relatively quick and easy way to relocate the engine bay fuse box. We were in a bit of a time crunch, and if we did have more time, I would have preferred to make a new power feed going from the starter post inside the cabin and underneath the fender to the engine bay fuse box. I'm trying to get as many wires outside of the engine bay as I can for that clean, minimalist look that I'm going for. Now, after removing the engine bay fuse box, then another thing we discovered is that there's more damage to the shell. So that damage just adds up to the damage that I already know and I've already seen, and you've seen as well in previous videos, like all the rust that we have in the boot area and the damage that we have here to the left-hand side chassis rail. Since one of the next big things that I want to do with this car is body and paint and, you know, shave the engine bay and all that, so I'm starting to think to lean more and more towards maybe getting a different shell to do the body and paint on. I don't like all this damage that we're discovering. I need to see. I'm still thinking, you know, is it worth investing in this shell or maybe just getting a different one, but we'll see. We'll see. I don't know yet. So I'm very, very happy that we finally relocated the fuse box. It's something I've been wanting to do for a very long time, and I'm getting more and more excited. We're slowly approaching the image that I have in my head of what I want the engine bay to look like. Besides the damage that we have discovered, now the engine bay feels a bit unbalanced, with the left-hand side being completely clear, and it will be even more so after shaving the battery tray and getting rid of the horn. And the right-hand side currently has catch cans, hoses, and an inlet pipe, so a bit uneven. I need to think how I clean the right-hand side to get it a bit more closer to look like the left-hand side. I have seen people relocate the catch cans on the firewall just over the turbo. I don't feel very comfortable with them being so close to the turbo, but maybe if we make like a heat shield to protect them and run hoses back into the inlet pipe instead of those filters, so there's no danger of any oil dripping from the catch cans onto the hot side of the turbo, then I might do that. So it's another thought I've been playing with. I don't know if I'll do it or not. You can click on this video if you would like to see how we constructed the custom engine bay harness on this car. So that is all for this video. Thank you very much for watching. Until next time, see you in the next one.